Hello and welcome back to the JKYog Youth Conference 2020. We've had absolutely amazing talks today all day. We've been learning so much and growing so much. And Dr. Majors just gave a very beautiful talk on how service and love is all about the right brain, completely bringing together core concepts of service and love and tying them into science. These were very amazing talks that we had, and we hope that you all enjoyed them. Do leave like, share, subscribe. That's always the rule. Just if you liked any talk today, just share it in your social media streams so other people can also benefit from this free knowledge that is being given out. So it's time to move on to drum roll, please. Our most important segment, which is the youth conference paper presentation session. There were hundreds of submissions all over the world, and there are uh, four that made it to the review committee's list. And let me remind you that these paper submissions were based on five topics, and the topics are removing inequality, affordable and clean energy, good health and well-being, quality education, and clean water and sanitation. And if you're curious as to where these goals come from, you can look up the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Yes, again, that's the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And it has listed 17 goals that are necessary for the progress of the world for humankind in the coming future. And a lot of the social entrepreneurship ventures, a lot of the people who spoke today are also working in these areas. Like, for example, Naisargik was working in the area of good health and well-being. And Sonal Kapoor was working in the area of removing inequality, good health and well-being, quality education. So we have tried to center these topics around problems that need to be solved in the world today. And we encourage the youth to come up with papers and their own work in this area. And as a result of that, we have four papers who made it. The first one was Dipasha Sengupta in the area of affordable and clean energy. She is not here today. She's from Assam. Her entry was very, very well received. Um, a very meticulous and a very detailed entry. So, Dipasha, congratulations. You will receive a certificate. And then we have Shilpa Daswani in the area of quality education from Rajasthan, India. Once again, a very holistic submission, and the review committee was very happy with that submission. And then we have Shivani Chidambaram in the area of clean water from Fremont, United States in California. Once again, a great presentation and very evocative and full of detail. Good job, Shivani, and you will get a certificate. And a special mention, he won't be presenting today, but a very special mention for Advaya Lad from Dallas, Texas. He did a paper on good health and well-being, and it was particularly the references were very well written, and the amount of detail that was captured in it was really great. So congratulations, Advaya, special mention for you, and great job to all of our paper presenters, and thank you for submitting. With that, I will actually introduce one of our presenters has joined us all the way from Jodhpur, India, Shilpa Daswani ji. It is practically 2 a.m. It is tomorrow morning in India. And she has taken time to present her paper at the JKYog Youth Conference platform. And we are connected by this wonderful JKYog online platform, no matter where we are or no matter what time zone we're in. So Shilpa Daswani ji is going to talk about on the topic of quality education. She is currently a freelance and academic writer. And previously, before this, she was a teacher and she used to teach history, geography, and civics. And so you can imagine is extremely knowledgeable and a lot of attention to detail. And Shilpa ji, we saw it in your paper as well. and we cannot wait to hear your talk. So, without further ado, Shilpa Dasmani on quality education, JKYog paper submission winner.
Namaskar, Radhe Radhe. I am Shilpa Daswani and I belong from India. I am presently working as a freelancer academic writer. Before beginning my presentation, I would like to offer my salutations to His Holiness Swami Mukundananda, and I would also like to thank JKYog team for providing us with such an exuberant platform for sharing the views on the most vital topics of the contemporary world. The topic which I have selected for today's talk is quality education. I would now like to begin my presentation by singing a very soulful Saraswati Vandana Geet written by Suryakant Tripathi Nirala. वरदे वीणा वादनी वरदे प्रिय स्वतंत्र रव अमृत मंत्र नव भारत में भर दे वरदे वीणा वादनी कांठ और के बंधन महाधरणी ज्योतिर्मय निर्जन कलुष भेद तुम हर प्रकाश बर जगमग जग कर दो वरदे वीणा वादनी नवगति नवलताल छंद नवल कंठ नव जलद मंत नव नव पर नव स्वर दे वरदे वीणा वादनी. Thank you. Moving ahead into the presentation, I would now like to give a quick overview about the contents that will be covered in this presentation. This presentation will give a quick highlight about meaning and scope of quality education. It will also highlight why spiritual learning should be included into the scope of quality education. It will also suggest some ways for implementing spiritual learning and quality education together hand in hand. It will also highlight the significance of a spiritually aware individual. It will also discuss some important findings of A.H. Maslow's need hierarchy theory and his viewpoint on the role of educators, and conclusion. Now I would like to bring your attention towards meaning and scope of quality education. The term quality education deals with providing an education that assists in a wholesome development of a child. This kind of education assists in a long-term learning process. It also aims to cover four main emotional, social, and mental aspects of an individual's personality. Quality education also provides uninterrupted access to the three main ingredients, which are availability of quality teachers, secondly, availability of quality tools for learning, and thirdly, providing supportive learning environments. Seeing the significance of quality education in the contemporary world, United Nations has also included it in its fourth Sustainable Development Goal. Here's when my idea of social innovation comes into the picture. That is inclusion of spiritual learning in the scope of quality education. When we talk about quality education, I believe that still one aspect of spiritual learning is missing. My idea of social innovation is to include spiritual learning from the beginning pillars of the education system, to inculcate spiritual awareness among young children so that their base gets stronger, so that they can meet their future challenges, future life endeavors with a feeling of positivity and optimism. The true meaning of wholesome inclusive growth of students will actually take place when they inculcate the practice of inner engineering through spiritual awareness. Quality education has made the contemporary world an important hub for knowledge and learning. Today's generation is much more concerned about their physical and social needs. They are under tremendous pressure of presenting a good social and physical personality. They wonder how they look good, how they would post good pictures on Instagram and Twitter. They are only finding an urge to seek acceptance from their peers and their family groups. But the education which we are presently receiving assists only in the material knowledge and success. But if it is combined with spiritual learning, it will truly transform the hearts of our students. They will understand the actual meaning of their lives, goals, and they will ensure the adequate time of their efforts and achieve them. Moving ahead into the presentation, I would like to suggest some ways for implementing quality education and spiritual learning hand in hand. Beginning with traditions, gratitudes, and rituals, we can begin the day-to-day functioning of the schools and institutes. With beginning and concluding the day with the prayers full of gratitude, we can inculcate the feeling of spiritual awareness with the beginning pillars of the educational system. Nowadays, we have seen that when we say namaskar or when we are offering our gratitude, it just is a physical drill. I believe and I have seen it from my experience that the value and the respect for teachers, the value and respect for knowledge has diminished. And it just has become a physical drill. Thus, it becomes very significant to develop these moral values from the beginning pillars of the educational system. Coming to the next point, teachers can also arrange informal communication sessions and exchange their real life experiences. This kind of interactive sessions will nurture the feelings of hope, positivity, joy, happiness, and will also provide support in diminishing the negative emotions such as fear, anger, jealousy, and sadness. Community visits, meditation, and cultivating the feeling of satisfaction are also other methods of achieving the goal of spiritual awareness. I would here like to state a quotation which was quoted by His Holiness Swamiji in one of his lectures. The quotation is, भूल न जाना इस नुस्खे को लाभ अनेक उठाओगे जैसा मन को बना सकोगे वैसे ही बन जाओगे. The meaning of this quotation is that the mindset, the belief system which we inculcate in our inner world will one day become our personality. If we move it in a positive way, we will show and implement positivity in our actions. And if the river flows in an opposite direction, that is, if we inculcate negative thoughts, negative beliefs, negative mindsets in our brain and in our inner world, we will definitely diminish and we will never succeed in life. Moving ahead into the presentation, I would like to throw some light on the significance of a spiritually aware individual. Why it is significant to be spiritually aware? You can understand the significance by understanding this paragraph. This is a research which was conducted by selecting 320 students, both from private as well as public schools of New South Wales. Students between the ages of 8 to 12 were selected and studied. The main aim of this research was to understand how youth address their negative life situations. Only 60 students were considered to be highly spiritually aware. Out of 320, 120 were moderately aware and 140 were very low on their spiritual level. Now, why it is important to understand the significance of a spiritually aware individual. We can understand this through the results. The research results presented that the spiritually aware adolescents were less prone to risk of suicidal ideas. According to the data received by National Crime Records Bureau, every hour a single student in India itself commits suicide just because of the stressful situation regarding the educational system and the educational methods in the country. This has become a very, very concerned cause for a developing country like India. It is seen that students are just mugging up the content. They are not actually applying the theoretical knowledge into the practical life. They are just concerned about their grades, their report cards, and are not understanding the real meaning of knowledge and inner world awakening, inner engineering. If you mug up a content, you will just remember it for a day or two or a year. But if you understand and if you practically apply that knowledge in life, you can never ever deplete from that knowledge. Now coming forward to the presentation, we will discuss findings of the psychologist Abraham Harold Maslow's need hierarchy theory. Abraham Harold Maslow is a very famous psychologist who developed the theory of motivation known as the need hierarchy theory. The need hierarchy theory has 5 basic elements and it moves from bottom to top. The first basic element of this theory is the physiological needs. These are the basic needs which every human being requires to survive in this planet Earth, which are breathing, food, water, sleep, excretion, etc. When these needs are satisfied to a satisfactory extent, the human is motivated to work ahead to achieve the next level goals, which are the safety needs, which are security of body, security of employment, resources, money, family, and property. When these safety needs are also satisfied, a human being urges to work harder to achieve the third hierarchical need, which is the love and belonging need, which includes friendships, children, a soulmate partner, and etc. When these needs are fulfilled to an extent, the human is much more motivated to achieve the esteem needs. Now, what is esteem? Esteem is, you can include ego, you can include acceptance from others, acceptance from peers, recognition, confidence. All these needs are covered into the esteem element of the hierarchical theory. The final and the most important is the self-actualization need. Each and every human being is urging and is working more harder to achieve the self-actualization need. What is self-actualization need? These are those godly needs which every human being has developed in his or her inner world. As we are small fragments of the Supreme, we all have the urge, similar urge of finding happiness. We are earning, we are studying, we are each and every day we are making efforts just to seek happiness. Self-actualization need is that need which will provide the maximum satisfaction. It includes morality, creativity, it includes lack of prejudice, it includes acceptance of fact and truth, and to live a leading life with a holistic environment in mind. That is why it is very important to mention that A.H. Maslow's need hierarchical theory has put forward a holistic development environment for individual. According to him, each and every element of human life helps in satisfying the self-actualization needs of an individual. And it also provides motivation to move ahead into the hierarchy. The physiological and safety needs, which are the bottom two needs of the hierarchy, are basically concerned with the bodily needs. The next two hierarchy needs are love and esteem needs, which are related to the mind needs of an individual. But the topmost self-actualization need are concerned with the spirited soul needs of an individual. When these needs are satisfied to the maximum, an individual urges to everything else in his life diminishes. The need for esteem, the need for safety, the need for social recognition decreases. Why? Because there's nothing much important than self-actualization needs in one's life. Now coming forward to A.H. Maslow's viewpoint on the role of educators. Maslow has mentioned the vitality of spiritual knowledge and the vitality of spiritual implementation with quality education in his book Religions, Values and Peace Experiences. In this book, he quoted that spiritual and moral values in the field of education, in the field of present education, are required to be re-evaluated. According to him, the relations between spirituality and education are diminished. There was a very strong bondage between spirituality and moral values in the Vedic eras. Guru was considered the utmost respectable personality. But now it's just become a physical drill, as I discussed earlier. Thus, some voluntary efforts are required to be made by educators as well as the institutions to re-establish this powerful connection. Maslow has also explained that educators should also understand the motivational needs of their students. These motivational needs will urge and satisfy the self-actualization needs, which is the goal of quality education. Teachers are also required to be empathetic towards the diverse needs of diverse personality students, because each individual has diverse mindset, diverse personality, diverse viewpoint, and this environment is completely diverse. The external environment is different, the inner environment is different. Thus, the teachers should understand the contradictory environments of individuals and should not judge the students on their religious preferences and beliefs. Coming to the conclusion of this presentation, I would like to mention that there should be meaningful connections between spiritual learning and quality education, which will develop a holistic environment for learning. This will help in achieving both the external needs of students, and it will also quench their thirst for inner and spiritual welfare. Several incorporative and demonstrative activities such as gratitude prayers, informal communicative sessions, community visits, as I discussed earlier in the presentation, should be implemented on the institutional level so that teachers and students can express their spiritual emotions freely without the fear of being prejudiced or judged. Spiritual learning also assists in decoding their inner world in the most purest form. It also reduces the risk of suicidal negative emotions in adolescence. Spirited teachers, classrooms, and students are filled with hopefulness, optimism, and they meet their future life challenges with enthusiasm, which is the main essence of quality education. Findings of A.H. Maslow's need hierarchy theory has presented that physical, social, emotional, and mental needs can only be satisfied to the maximum if the spirited need, that is a self-actualization need, is satisfied to the maximum. Thus, quality education and spiritual learning are interconnected with each other. Thus, quality education must also add a fifth pillar to its aspect, to its scope, that is of spiritual learning for its best possible implementation. I hope this presentation was informative and worth listening to. Thank you for your precious time. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Shilpa ji, for that wonderful, very inspirational presentation. It was so detailed and you put it together technically so well as well. You know, the way you tied in all the concepts together and you showed that quality education must have a spiritual component as well. Um, and Shilpa ji, just one question
Yes.
before we end off the presentation. How did you get interested in this particular aspect of quality education, or how are you interested in the? I know you're a teacher, you mentioned. So how did you get interested in this area?
I got interested in this area. I would like to thank Swamiji because suddenly, as we get suggestions in YouTube, when you just scroll the sections, I got a suggestion of Swamiji's video and I just got engrossed towards those. And after that, I kept moving and like following his channels, his motivational talks, and he inspired me. Before 2019, I was not at all, you can say, a little bit interested, and I was not even aware what is spiritual learning, what is spirituality, what is the actual meaning of self-actualization needs. Just after hearing him, and I keep writing notes, whatever he says, and I also included one of his quotes in my presentation also. So I just keep writing notes, and today's talk also he mentioned about the basic need of each and every individual is happiness. We are seeking happiness, but into a wrong direction. So it's all because of him, and he motivates me to understand the life in a more wider perspective.
That's
So it's all
wonderful.
thanks to him.
That's wonderful, Shilpa ji. We are very glad that you were able to come across that knowledge, via YouTube, and you were so inspired. And today you took part in the youth conference. We're very happy that you shared your ideas about quality education and the part that spirituality has to play in it. Definitely, it's a very big part of it. Even the talk before you, we had Dr. Kevin Majors, who touched upon aspects of that, where he said that love and service are very important. They should be the goal. And when you bring in the spiritual aspect, then it brings everything together. Then you can say that you've been educated.
Yes.
That is an education, right? Wonderful, Chilpaji. Thank you so much for joining us so late at
Yes.
night. And by the way, this link will be available on YouTube for anyone who wants to view this. Do like, share, subscribe. It's on the JKYog online YouTube channel.
Thank you.
And Yes, yes, I know. It was a wonderful presentation and have a wonderful day. I guess you should get some sleep now.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you. It was a very touching presentation by Shilpa Laswani. Um, so next we have a very dynamic speaker from the JKYog Youth Club in Fremont, the Bay Area. And her name is Shivani Chidambaram. She has won a couple of contests at the local youth club competitions. She's a very accomplished speaker. And today she will be talking on the aspect of clean water. So, Shivani, your paper presentation had been greatly appreciated by the review committee. And congratulations on winning one of the best paper spots.
Thank you so much.
And we welcome you to present and share your thoughts with the whole world. As you know, this is live on YouTube, and so you can get this link anytime you want. And for those of you who are watching, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, because the goal of having these paper presentations is to inspire everyone to think about the problems that exist out there and how we can contribute towards solving them. So Shivani is an incoming 11th grader at Mission San Jose High School, California. She has a passion that is strongly tied down to her community and helping it move forward in an innovative manner. She's here to give a speech about the importance of water filtration. And Shivani, I really like the title of your talk. Could you please let me know what the title of the talk is?
Water is the new gold.
Water is the New Gold. What a powerful title. All right. So, Water is the New Gold, Shivani Chidambaram. Take it away, Shivani.
Mm, mm. Okay. Water is the new gold. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Shivani, and I'm going to talk to you guys about life's most pure and gift. And no, before I get ahead of myself, it's not anything like diamonds or gold. It's something actually far more valuable now. It's water. Now, my interest in water, and more precisely, water reusing and filtering, took place a few years ago when my crudelest childhood blindfold finally came off. It was then that I realized I was no longer blind to the fact that water is life, and it was getting stolen from people all over the world. You see, a few years ago, my family and I, we took this family trip to India, and it was then that I witnessed something almost horrific. I saw a long line of women and children waiting with buckets in the hot, steeping sun. I remember turning over to my amma and I tugged on her sari and I was like, why are they waiting with buckets? What are they waiting for? What are they going to fill them with? And she told me that they were there to receive water. This was something that I had thought was odd, since my belief on the subject had always been that water was something everyone had to have, and therefore it did. But I was sure mistaken. I remember that look in the eyes of one of the little boys there. He was around the same age as me and couldn't have been older than 8. His eyes were filled with terror and just sadness, almost as if he was afraid of the future. The look he gave me was one I'll never be able to forget, as it shattered me. I finally understood that this is a very real problem eating our nation away. And from that day on, I vowed myself to never take water for granted and be grateful for all it has and continues to do for me and my family. All of this just got me thinking as to how water is a part of human life that many nowadays overlook. However, it has slowly become a liquid gold to many. After all, it's said that humans can survive weeks on end without a single bite of food. But without water, they'll be unable to make it past the first few days. Now, although its necessity is vital to human life, it's being robbed away every day through the means of heavy pollution, drastic climate change, and just wasteful habits. According to the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, around 1 trillion gallons of water gets wasted each year through the use of American household water appliances alone, in the form of gray water, such as this, which for the time being, I'll not get too much into as to how I obtained it because the manner might be questionable. Most of the time, this water is deemed unclean by the public and thrown out, which is quite frankly understandable considering it looks like this in the current state it seems to be in. However, through a process called water recycling, there is hope. Now, water recycling basically works through the means of taking wastewater, such as this gray, grimy slush of an excuse of water, and turning it into water like this that can be used for home appliances and also agricultural uses. Now, it has many benefits to it, especially water recycling. And one of the benefits it has is that it's going to greatly decrease the number of chemical fertilizers that are being used in farms and also just homemaking houses. It also greatly reduces pollution and even creates wetlands. Now, with all the benefits of water reusing, it's kind of a surprise that it's not implemented in all parts of the world. However, certain countries and states such as Singapore, California, and Virginia are already creating recycled water that's pure enough to drink. And this is just going to show us the true reaches and benefits of the system when utilized effectively. It's due to our wasteful habits that we are costing the lives of many. Moreover, without adequate water filtration devices in rural areas, people are dying due to waterborne pathogens and water constraints. For many, living without water has become a way of life, as now it's really common, as 1 in 8 people on the planet aren't presented with clean and affordable drinking water. Now, this problem may pose itself as being almost impossible to solve. However, if there's one thing I learned in school, it's that to every problem lies a solution. And if you're willing to go to the extents and dig deep enough, you'll be able to find it. Now, although the solution may seem simple, the truth is that there is no one perfect, clear-cut solution to this vast world struggle claiming our nation. However, with the implementation of water recycling and adequate filters being built and placed in rural areas, one can save the water left and potentially help millions of people worldwide. Now, before trying to solve this problem, it's essential to know what is in the water that is contaminating it in the first place. Now, for different regions of this world, this will very much vary. However, one of the main things that ends up being a silent killer and taking the lives of millions each year are the waterborne pathogens and toxins in the water. These are all naked to the human eye and are therefore deadly. Some of these include coliform bacteria, which is bacterium that is often found in the GI tract of humans and animals alike. When this bacteria is present in water, it shows proof of fecal contamination. This in turn causes dietary symptoms when the water is finally consumed. Similarly, phosphates may also be present in the water. These chemicals cause an excessive amount of algae growth, altering the quality of the water in total. It does this by basically feeding the algae in the water and causing it to grow and produce harmful toxins when they finally bloom, such as microcytins. Now, these basically destroy nerve tissue and can cause permanent damage to the human body. This can all be detrimental to those who depend deeply on their local bodies of fresh water. Another thing that many people overlook is the amount of nitrate in the water. Now, when a person drinks water with an average amount of nitrate, like just a tiny bit, it's actually okay. It's perfectly safe. The human body can process it. However, when a person drinks nitrate in a glass of water with an excessive amount of nitrate, the disorder methahemoglobinemia occurs. And this is a type of blood disorder that creates an unusual amount of methemoglobin in the body. And this in turn causes shortness of breath, headaches, cyanosis, and even loss of consciousness. Now, in order to remove and strip these pathogens away from the water, it must be adequately filtered and used with a variety of pretreatments or flocculation processes. Now, chemicals can also be used by the means of water purification. A great example of a chemical would be iodine. It's an example of this as it's a type of chemical element that is largely used through the means of specifically cleaning water. It does this through killing the common freshwater pathogens such as fungi, yeast, and microbacteria. Now, although these methods may seem ideal for removing the pathogens and purifying the water, the cost of doing all this is expensive. I mean, it can cost an upwards of $1,100 per acre foot and up to 20 large grand to install a water recycling system that brings gray water to Class A levels. Now, because of this, it is obviously not going to be appropriate for everyone, especially those who barely have enough to put food on the table and are unfortunately forced to live in a very restrictive manner. However, a much cheaper and simpler filter can be made using simple household products. This filter is called a biosand filter. Now, the cost of this filter is only $70 to install, and it can last a family of 10 to 15 people a solid 30 years. The filter works in a similar way to that of the carbon block filters that are staples in many people's homes. They're also found in fish tanks, which is kind of the thing that filters out your fish's poop and stuff. Now, the biosand filter has 4 main subparts as seen here, with the first and foremost layer being the diffuser. Now, the diffuser basically protects the other layers from being damaged when the water is poured in. The second layer, which is that tan kind of beige you see there, that is the biolayer, and here a colony of microorganisms coexist to devour the freshwater pathogens, ridding it of any toxins. The third and the largest layer as seen here is the filtration sand layer. In this layer, the sand removes the remaining pathogens and also any of the solids that were left behind previously. The fourth layer and the final layer is composed of gravel, 2 different types of gravel to be exact. Now, these gravel layers support the layers above and they prevent them from clogging up the outlet tube, which then the filtered water would flow through. Now, it's because of filters like these that are both affordable and effective that are so important to build in areas where water seems to be getting more scarce by the second. Growing up, I was fortunate enough to have a roof over my head and clean water to drink. But some struggle to find even a little water. And often the water that has been discovered is poorly treated and therefore tainted with all sorts of debris. It's especially important to fund machines such as the biosand filter during times like these when people most need it. But more often than not, people rely on others to do good for them. When the harsh reality remains, and always has been, that no one is going to step in to be the superhero or play the part of it. In fact, this is when more than ever you should grab that cape out of your closet and become the superhero the world has been waiting to see. Don't wait around to see change, but rather listen to what Mahatma Gandhi said and become the change you want to see in the world. Now, with all these new filtration devices being kind of brought up every year, it's evident that technology has been improving for our assistance. Machines such as the carbon block filtration systems are now staples at many homes, and they provide us with the odorless, sediment-free, tasteless water we know and love. However, on the more global scale, there are machines such as the slingshot and biosand filter in use. These two machines work together and are put in rural areas all over the world and provide people with the same water we often tend to take for granted. Now, along with these two inventions, one day there will hopefully be a machine that can reuse the water we once wasted into clear drinking water that many can use worldwide. It's because of technology like this that we can take one step closer to solving the world's water problem and are closer to implementing new changes such as water reclaiming worldwide. It's now our responsibility to save the world that has saved us so many times before. And it's also our responsibility to help provide clean water to those who need it most. It's important to keep in mind that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And therefore, this process requires time and precision. With global help and fundraisers being held on the daily to raise money for the installment of various filters, we're able to finally see the finish line. And we're able to see the change our future selves will one day thank us for. Water impacts nearly every facet of our lives. We may not always see it or understand it, but water influences our income, our education level, our health. In rural areas, access to clean water is highlighted. Kids have to walk miles upon miles just to get a glimpse of water, which may not even be clean. This forces them out of schools, which leads them to have lower income jobs. And of course, their health is also put at a grave risk. These risks are all clear. However, some of us just choose to perceive life with the blinder and not pay attention to it, the current state that people are forced to survive in. Each drip of water we let flow away is one drip that can mean the world to someone else. Without clean water, our world ceases to function. It's proven to be an integral part of our well-being. Humans naturally have built-in defense mechanisms that automatically get triggered when something is wrong. Yet when it comes to water, the same level of care just isn't given. I don't know if it's greed or maybe it's ignorance. But whatever it is, we're stuck in an everlasting loop, dwelling on the question if we would be able to last the millennia. But to be honest, there's no way of knowing this unless we rally up and take action by building and funding filters for global change. The action we take now by sponsoring and building filters may seem small, but in the grand scheme of things, its impact is able to move mountains. As citizens of not only our respective nations, but of the world, we have to rise above our political dilemmas and save our water. Access to clean water is a vital part of all of our lives. We are citizens of the world. Our loyalty stands with the land that we have chosen to make our home. The rivers cascading down the valleys of Mother Earth pump life throughout our beloved planet. The veins of rivers bring vitality to all of us. However, for the time being, Knowledge is one of our biggest strengths, and we must therefore play to it. And opening up our social circles abroad to better the lives of everyone is vital to helping restore the water we once had and the water we intend on getting back. Since as of now, every little drop counts. Thank you.
Wow, Shivani, that was a very powerful presentation. Um, when I hear talks like this, I actually feel that this generation, like the youth, they're really focused on solving the problems that exist around us, and that goes a long way to show the values that you have and the way that you approach the world. And thank you for sharing your thoughts on clean water, such a basic need. I'm sure that whoever was watching this presentation, and this presentation is online, uh, I think a lot of people should watch this presentation and learn what are the obstacles towards getting clean water and what's the best way to purify water in a very simple way. And thank you for sharing those thoughts
Thank you so
with
much
the
for
world
having
today. Congratulations once again, Shivani. And we hope that you go on to do great things and innovate and make a difference in the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shivani. And so, don't go away. We are going to enter the last session of the day, which is going to be the most exciting. Why do I say that? Because it's quiz time. All day long, we have been learning about how to become better people, how to get the skills to solve problems, how to become a change maker in our community. But we haven't had a chance to revise. And there's another reason that we're doing this. It's because if any of you have taken some time to go and look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, those are 17 goals that the United Nations had set out, and every year, youth from around the world present on these topics. And they present their initiatives, that the way in which they're solving problems in their own countries. And our humble hope is that through this effort, a lot of the people who are listening to this presentation will be motivated to find those problems and solve them in their communities. But how do you find those problems? How do you know what they are? Well, that's exactly why we are going to do a presentation followed by a quiz, uh, crafted from beginning to end with a lot of research, packed with a lot of fun by our resident quiz master and activity coordinator, Ajay Arora ji, from joining us from Dallas, the Radhakrishna Temple.
Thank you, Aditi ji. Radhe Radhe, everyone. Really glad to be here. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Well, very glad to be here. I think the next 30 minutes, we're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of interactive activity focused around United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I know this is a topic very close to my heart, and just understanding what are those problems out there in the world. A lot of thinkers, a lot of experts around the world have already debated and thought deeply about those problems and conceptualized the goals that the world should look towards. So what we have come up with is a sort of a 20-minute quiz as well as a learning activity. So let me talk about that really quick. And how we are going to run is that we are going to need two devices each. So let me share my screen quickly. Aditi ji, just tell me if my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So the group activity that we are talking about is essentially a Kahoot platform we are going to use. So we will need, so on this device where you're seeing this video, you will get the questions or the videos that we will be watching together. And on a separate device, you would need to log in to kahoot.it, this particular website, and enter a game code that I will show in a few seconds. Few few logistics about the game, how it's going to run. Every question will have about 10 to 60 seconds, depending on the difficulty of the question. Each question will only have a single choice. It's a multiple choice set of questions. Overall, I think we will spend about 20 minutes. With that, let's get started. Okay. So at this point, we'll be waiting for people to log in. All you need to do is just go to kahoot.it website or the Kahoot app and then enter this game pin 368269. We'll be waiting for all of you to log in. We got one so far. The moment we have 5 or 10, we can get this going. I know it's been a long day. I guarantee this will be a lot of fun event. I know if you're still wondering in terms of, the guidelines, all you need to do is grab another phone or an iPad or another laptop. And all you need to do is just go to the website in your browser, in Safari or Chrome. Just go to kahoot.it, this website that we are sharing on the screen here, Kahoot, kahoot.it. Or alternatively, you could also open the Kahoot app, and in the app, you could enter the game pin that we are showing right now. The game pin is 368. I'm also going to log in the parallel 269. Okay, we got 4 players so far. We got 5 now. I know there is a bit of a lag for me to see the players here, so I'm just giving everybody a chance once we get started. You can obviously start and join us once it gets underway as well, but we don't want to miss it because the score is based on how quickly you answer the responses and how much of learning that you get along the way. Okay, we got 6 players so far. Okay, let's give another minute and we can get started. Awesome, we got 7 so far. If there are any questions, we're still watching the YouTube live stream. You can obviously post a question in there, and we're closely monitoring that. Okay, perfect. We got 8. Let's give 30 more seconds, and we can get started after that. The more the merrier. Okay, a lot of people have just joined. Perfect. We got 10 people. Again, just recapping the instructions for those who are just joining in. It's essentially a game and a learning activity solely based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And there are videos that we will watch together, quick short videos, 30 seconds to 60 seconds. There are slides we will go through quickly together. And then much of it is actually a quiz. So on the screen that you're seeing right now, you will get to see the questions. Each question will have 4 or 2 options. On the phone or the other device, or the second device you have, you will be selecting the color of the option that you feel is the right. So again, recapping, on your personal device, you'll be selecting the answers, and scores and everything will get live updated here. Okay. Believe we have 10 people now. Let's get started. All right, so here comes The very first question, by when are the United Nations goals to be achieved? If any of you know this, just hit the right answer, just select the color of the right option on your phone or your screen. Very quick time limit on this one. It's just the year you have to select. Okay. I saw so 2030 is the right answer. Just a quick background about these goals. United Nations came up with these sustainable development goals in the year 2015, and the target that has been adopted is by 2030. There are 17 goals that we all have to get to as a globe, and these 2030 is the target to get to. In terms of the score, I think Raj is leading, Atma is following, followed by Dipasha and others, I think, still coming in. So let's understand a little more in terms of what these goals are. Yeah, I understand there is a bit of a lag, so I will go very slow. Okay, so we just watched a 30-second video. Hopefully you all got to see that. Okay, wait 1 second. I think let me just share back again. I think some people are saying there is a bit of a lag, so let me share that back once more. Hopefully this should fix it. Okay, here goes the video again.
Did you know that the UN Sustainable Development Goals are a universal call to action that unites 193 countries around the world? If these global goals are fulfilled by 2030, life on Earth will be better for everyone. So, what are these goals? Eliminate poverty in all its forms. No hunger. Everyone should have safe, nutritious, and sufficient food. Everyone has equal access to healthcare, thus ensuring our well-being and a healthy life. Equal access to a quality education. Ensure gender equality where women and girls have the same opportunities as men and boys. By achieving these goals, each member of our society will be equal, safe, and happy.
Okay. I give 1 more second for the lag to finish on the video. All right, perfect. So we watched a quick video on what these goals are. Essentially, it's a call to action by all countries, irrespective whether they're poor, rich, or middle income countries. Doesn't matter, developed or developing. The idea is to promote prosperity while protecting the planet as a whole. So let's go further into the quiz. Here comes the next question. How many countries have adopted
So in September 2015,
these
they
goals?
agreed
What
on a
is
new
the
set of
number of
goals
countries
to help
we
finish
have?
the work we all started in 2000.
And it's going to be a very
The
quick
new
time
goals are
limit
called the Sustainable
as soon as you see
Development
the
Goals,
question.
or SDGs.
Okay, I see 8 of you were able to answer and 6 of you got it correct. Perfect. Congratulations. So yes, 193 countries across the world signed this global thing and they all agreed to unite with the United Nations. Perfect. Let's see the scores. Raj is leading, followed by AD, and then Advay, and then Atma and Dipasha. Perfect. Great. So I'll keep going a little slow because obviously there is a bit of a lag in terms of you actually seeing the video. So the time limit does get reduced, and we factored that in the time limits for each question. So, and again, all of you will be getting that buffer equally. So hope that's okay with you all. So question number 4 coming up now. What is the focus level for sustainable development goals? Is it local, regional, national, or international? Okay, I believe few of you are able to answer. Let's see the score. Raj is leading, followed by AD and Advay. Okay, question number 5. This is about the COVID pandemic. How many estimated people are going into poverty, extreme poverty due to COVID? Seconds for this one. Okay, so we got about 6 answers, and 2 of you got it right. The answer is 71 million. Yes, and that's the answer. It's based on the latest research that came out just a few months back and by United Nations. Okay. So this is an informational activity just to kind of add some more context. Poverty is actually the first or the primary goal of the Sustainable Development Goals by United Nations. And even before the COVID or coronavirus situation hit us all, the world as a whole was going off track in terms of the goal by 2030 to eradicate poverty. But during the crisis and with the crisis, the effects that we are seeing and the researchers are seeing is that it is causing the first increase in the poverty rates in many decades. And we had decades of reduction in poverty that we were seeing across the world, and especially extreme poverty situations. But during this pandemic, we are noticing that there is a first time increase that's happening. So it brings the importance of this goal much more in the current time frame and the current epidemic or pandemic that we are all facing. With that, let's go to the next one. Why is sustainable energy an important issue? Able to answer, but the answer is actually burning fossil fuels. So businesses wanting to invest in clean energy, unfortunately, is not the right answer. Neither is most people not having access to electricity. So at least this is coming right from the information that United Nations has captured as part of the sustainable goals. Let's move on to the next one and see the scores. Meanwhile, I think Raj, you're still leading. Congratulations, followed by AD, Dipasha, and then the rest. Now, next question, question number 8 is, which goal is about conserving and sustainably using the oceans and the seas? You have to select which of these goals. Which of these is one of the sustainable development goals? Okay, I was able to get about five answers roughly. Perfect. Two of you got it right. So, yep, life below water is the right answer on this one. Life below water is actually a very succinctly or clearly distinguished goal as one of the 17 sustainable development goals that United Nations has. Perfect. Congratulations. Let's see the scores. So scores are changing. Raj, you're still leading. Perfect. Let's go on. Question number 9 coming up. Which of the following is a measurement of economic development? Is it economic growth? Is it real GDP? Is it inflation or HDI, Human Development Index? Okay. The correct answer on this one was Human Development Index. GDP per capita is not listed as economic development in measurement. Let's see the scores real quick. And now not much changes. Let's go to question number 10 now. Which of the following best describes economic development? Is it another term for economic growth? Is it a measure of material living standards? Is it a quantitative measure of economic activity? Or is it a measure of improvement in the welfare of everyone? I will submit it quickly once there is more time limit for that. So if you were able to answer, the correct answer on this one is a measure of improvements in the holistic welfare of a nation. So that's the right answer in this one. Let's go and see the scores. Did see a lot of changes this time around. Advay, you lead, coming back in lead, and followed by Sanskriti and Raj. Perfect. This will be an interesting question. The honey hunting of wild bees, does it affect the sustainable development goals? Yes or no? Okay, many of you got it right. So yes, the honeybees actually, the hunting of honeybees and finding out where the nests are, where their hives are, is very related to the sustainable development goals. Let's watch a quick video of how that's related. Give it a few seconds. I'm sure there is a lag. So the bees are a key part of global food system, and they pollinate 75% of our crops. Human activity is actually making it harder for them to do their job. Air pollution is having a big effect on the bees and their pollination process. Pesticides as well. Okay, with that video, hopefully we got a little bit of insight on how we are so closely connected with this whole globe and the whole natural ecosystem. Even little creatures like pollinators, including bees, have such an important role to play in this universe, on this globe and on this planet as well, without which the food that we eat day to day will not be at that level that we need for the world to be a sustainable place. Okay, let's go on the next one. Does the decline of hamsters affect the sustainable development goals? Yes or no? Now this time it's about hamsters. Hamsters are little creatures much like your squirrels. Yes or no? Does the decline of hamsters affect the goals? Three of you answered it correctly. The answer is no. Hamsters, there's not been a research, there's not been a connection established between the decline of hamsters and sustainable development goals. That was a kind of a trick question. All right. Let's see. Wow, we see a lot of changes in scores this time. Raj, followed by Sanskriti, followed by Advay. Perfect. Let's go to next question. Which of these is actually a sustainable development goal? So the goal should be on your screen. You just have to select which of them is actually a UN sustainable development goal. It's very straightforward. Okay. Many of you got it right. So I don't think I need to explain this one. Let's go to the next one. Scoreboard has changed a lot. Next question. What is not a dimension of sustainable development goals? Economy, policy, society, or environment? Which of these is not a dimension of the goal? I know it was a tricky question, but if you read it correctly, the UN Sustainable Development Goals are about economy, society, and environment. Policy is not one of the dimensions of the goals. Okay, let's go question 16. Which of the following is not a sustainable development goal? Again, similar theme. Just select which of these is not a sustainable development goal. Okay. Correct answer on this one was eliminate racism is not a sustainable development goal. All the others are actually the right answers. So eliminate racism is not a sustainable development goal in this case. The scores have not changed this time around. I'm gonna give a few seconds for the screen to catch up. I still understand there is a bit of a lag, so we are just giving it a few seconds every now and then to catch up. Okay, hopefully the screen has caught up. Okay, question number 17 coming up now. Which of the below is a challenge to sustainable development? Which of these is a challenge to sustainable development? Okay, two of you got it right. The answer is war. In fact, one of the premises for United Nations to be formed was peace and avoiding war. So that goes into that. Two of you got it right. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Give it a second. Let's see the scores meanwhile. Raj, you're still leading, followed by Sanskriti, AD, followed by Atma and Advait. Perfect. What are the 3 issues for sustainable development? 3 issues for sustainable development. We've seen the choices on your screens. Select the right combination of the 3 issues for sustainable development. Okay, perfect. 3 of you got it right. Poverty, inequality, and climate are the 3 issues that went into the Sustainable Development Goals. Awesome. Let me give a second for the screen to catch up again. I hope all of you are having fun and some bit of learning as well with this. Okay. Perfect. Let's see the scores. Obviously, some changes on the scores. Raj, you're still leading. Congratulations. Sanskriti, followed by that. Ad, followed by AD and Atma and Advay. I know some of you are still facing the lag, so that's why I'm trying to read the questions so that you are able to at least hear the question before selecting the answers on your screen, even if there is a lag. Okay, the second last question, or the last question actually, the three concepts cover, which three concepts cover the concept of sustainable development? The three concepts that together form the sustainable development as concept. All right. So the right answer was economic, social, and environment. As we saw earlier, policy, the green option was not right because it had policy, some had ecology and international relationships, and religion obviously is not the right one. UN Sustainable Development Goals are really after economic, social, and environmental sustainable development. With that, we will now watch a quick 2-minute video and end this quiz with that. Let's see. And followed by this, let's watch a quick video. And that it's really about a resolve that we all must take. And
We can be.
We must be the first generation
to end extreme poverty.
The generation
Most determined
to fight injustice
and inequalities.
The generation that saves the planet from climate change.
And this is how it will get done. The global goals.
A 15-year plan
For everyone. Everywhere.
with no one left behind.
We will live in a world
where nobody
anywhere
Lives in extreme poverty.
Where no one
goes hungry.
where no one wakes in the morning
Asking if there will be food today.
We will live in a world where no child has to die of
Diseases we know how to cure.
And where proper health care
is a lifelong right for us all.
We will live in a world where
everyone goes to school
and education gives us the knowledge
and skills
for a fulfilling life.
We will live in a world where all girls and all women have equal opportunities
to thrive
and be powerful and safe.
We cannot succeed if half the world is dead.
we will live in a world
where all people can get clean water
And proper toilets
at home, at school, and at work.
We will live in a world where there's sustainable energy for everyone.
heat, light, and power for the whole planet.
Without destroying the planet.
We will live in a world where economies prosper. And new wealth
leads to decent jobs
For everyone.
and we will live in a world where our industry,
our infrastructure and our
best innovations.
Are not just used to make money, but to make all our lives better.
we will live in a world
Where prejudices and extremes of inequality
Are defeated
Inside our countries,
and between different countries.
where people live in cities and communities
that are safe, progressive,
and support everyone who lives there.
where we replace
What we consume.
Planet where we put back
What we take out of the earth.
We live in a world that is decisively rolling back from
climate change.
where we restore and protect the life in our oceans and seas. Restore
and protect
life on land,
The forests.
Animals.
the earth itself.
what an amazing video. Every time I watch it, it drives me to do something about them. Awesome. So with that, giving a few seconds for the screen to catch up, and then we're just going to see the final scores, and that's the end of the activity duration that we have. Let's go forward and see the final scores. All right, number 3 place, AD, congratulations. Sanskriti is at number 2. Well, great job. And at number 5, congratulations. Advay and Atma, runners up. Good job. Perfect. That brings us to the end of the activity. I'll stop sharing my screen. Thank you all of you for participating. I totally appreciate your informed and engaged participation, and thank you for the activity. I also apologize for the bit of the lag that we faced, but hopefully you're still able to follow as seen with the responses. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajay Bhaiya, for that amazing quiz on sustainable development and all the information that you shared with us. I do hope that we can forward it to our participants for their information so they can know more about it and do more about it. And that brings us to the end of day one of the Global Virtual JKYog Youth Conference. It has been an amazing day, and I'm sure you all are very tired. I hope that you enjoyed the talks. And tomorrow we're going to have another rousing, exciting day of amazing, wonderful talks. We have a youth panel with Swami Mukundananda, so don't forget to attend that. 10 a.m. CST, and it's 10 a.m. CST. So the schedule is in the email that went out earlier today. You can also find the schedule on all our various social media platforms. We have a wonderful talk by Honorable Major Dr. Deepak Rao, who is 1 in 6 of those who have been knighted by the President of India for their contribution, for their military contribution. And he's a very he's a prolific motivational speaker and author. Do not miss his talk. It's right after the panel. And we have Anugrah Saitya and Hasina Karbi, who are young innovators who will share their work in the areas of human trafficking and technological innovation. And a really nice session by Chris Natsky on developing the mindset of a champion. He is a national taekwondo champion. And session by Gaurav Tekriwal, who is the president of the Vedic Maths Foundation, and he will show you how to activate your inner potential using Vedic mathematics. And session by Gaurav Palande, a digital marketer, on the tools that you need if you have an idea and you want to get it going. What are the tools that you need to bring it to life? And we learn all about that tomorrow. And stay tuned and see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. CST. Radhe Radhe.